could grab me. You could grab that that pink blanket for me, Kay. All right, we are back. We are back. We are back. Oh, thank you, Kay. Thank you, Kay. It's a little chilly tonight. It's a little chilly tonight. This is a throwback night. It's a throwback night. But it's also not only is it throwback night, it's a night looking forward to the future because it looks like this is something that we will be in for. We are in for the long run. Okay, we are coming live from Occupy City Hall. This is a continuation of the episode we were already previously conducting. The broadcast failed, so please share this video. If you're watching this, please share this video. We're going to continue reading this story about how the $400,000 in weed money and weed tax money will be spent. But since the live went out, we'll start at the beginning and then dive back into it, okay? All right. Okay. This is a story from June 28th. City officials on Thursday will invite organizations, businesses, and nonprofits to apply for $400,000 worth of cannabis-funded grants. Called the Rockford Regrow Grant Program, it aims to support projects that promote economic development, reduce gun violence, provide job training, and improve the lives of those disproportionately affected by cannabis prohibition in the city. Rockford Community and Economic Development Director Carl Franzen said although the grants are designed to benefit communities that have been most affected by the war on drugs, the parameters were purposefully left broad to allow for innovation and creativity. Excuse me. Quote, "We have a scoring system and we want these programs to be successful, so we want to help these organizations build implementation teams and really drill down to specific deliverables to make sure these dollars are put to good use, but we don't want to be limited by a preconceived notion of success," end quote, Franzen said. Let's go down some more on this. Aldermen in January created a cannabis fund designed to support programs for economic and business development, education, job training, and youth programming. It is funded by 3% sales tax on the sale of recreational marijuana. Let me read that one more time. Aldermen in January created a cannabis fund designed to support programs for economic and business development, education, job training, and youth programming. It is funded by a 3% sales tax on the sale of recreational marijuana. A virtual kickoff presentation of the Rockford Regrow Grant is planned at 5:30 p.m. Thursday on the city's Facebook page, and electronic applications should be available on the city website. Applications are due by July 31st. Let's see, we go down a little bit longer, okay. Regrow stands for Reinvest, Energize, Give, Restore, Opportunity, Win. City staff will work with the city's Community Relations Commission to recommend to City Council which applicants should receive shares of the first $400,000 cycle of grant funding. All applicants will be considered in a Tier 1 pool. A select few applicants will continue on to a second tier in which more funding will be available. Second round projects will be required to submit more detailed plans, budgets, objectives, and measurable outcomes. A 2-year, there will be 5 2021 quote-unquote quick deployment awards of $10,000 available. So 5 different sets of people will get $10,000. A 2-year, $150,000 award, 3 1-year $50,000 awards, and a $50,000 quote-unquote future project award will be available in the second round. Quote, communities across the country have felt the impact of the imbalanced enforcement of the war on drugs, and we commend Rockford for strategically reinvesting cannabis tax revenue where it's needed most, end quote, said Jason Erks, Chief of Communications Officer for Cresco Labs / Sunnyside, one of 2 marijuana dispensaries in Rockford. The Regrow Grant Program is loosely modeled on Portland, Oregon's Social Equity and Educational Development, or SEED, initiatives. According to information from Portland, the program is meant to support projects that seek to. Okay, I'm gonna take a pause on this and read some of this stuff here because we get into some different things. So one of the things that we were pointing out on the last live is that they have already decided who they're going to give this money to. That is something that needs to be stated. There's not going to be no surprises. There's not going to be no underdog story or nothing like that. They have chosen all the people that they're going to give this money to. There are people and organizations which will continue to uphold the status quo, which got Tom McNamara into the seat that he's in now, which got these institutions into the place they are in now. They are not going to take the chance of giving this money to an organization or to people or institutions that may challenge what the status quo is, that may actually start to slow down some of these effects of these root issues that affect our communities. And so that's one of the things that pops out to me as I read through this first piece of this story. Also, one of the things that pops out to me is at the beginning how what's this guy's name? Let's see what this exact quote is. Carl Franzen, the Rockford Community and Economic Development Director, Carl Franzen, said, although the grants are designed to benefit communities that have been most affected by the war on drugs, the parameters were purposefully left broad to allow for innovation and creativity, which means that they purposefully left the rules broad so that way they wouldn't have to necessarily always give all the money to people that are trying to do things to benefit the communities that have been the most affected by the war on drugs. That's what that statement is saying. That is what that one sentence says. When this sentence says, Rockford, and this is why we have to be politically aware, politically educated. When it says, Rockford Community and Economic Development Director Carl Franzen said, although the grants are designed to benefit communities that have been most affected by the war on drugs, the parameters were purposefully left broad to allow for innovation and creativity, to allow for them to innovate ways to give it to white people, to allow for them to find creative ways to give it to people who were not disproportionately affected by weed prohibition and by the war on drugs. That is what that statement is saying. And again, we live in a city in which, even though it is smoke and mirrors and the political actions in this city, they don't use a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's not a lot of it. We have to get the political awareness of people further along. As we read through the very beginnings of that story, Kay, are there any things that pop out to you? Are there any thoughts that you have?
Yes, because during the early stages of this, what was being referenced to the community at large was, let's say if you partially were incarcerated for 10 years because of weed possession, you became a good candidate as an individual to receive money if you wanted to start a barbershop, restaurant. Let's say you wanted a barbecue joint, barbershop, hair salon, nail spa, wig shop, whatever it is, and you wanted to put that in the community. It was being structured around giving it directly to the language was being geared to a person who was incarcerated, specifically in Rockford. Their life was impacted by the war on drugs through incarceration. How they, let's say they're a felon, and the ripple effect of they weren't able to get an adequate job. They're still doing the best they can. They're rehabilitated in society, upwardly mobile, doing the best they can. And then this economic opportunity was meant to be the godsend to turn his life around while he's attempting to be an example in the community, but also give back in the community by establishing a business. That was the initial understanding, or a lot of just the general understanding as it went along. But as you just read, there's a stark difference, because if you have to be as a nonprofit, you have to be established as a nonprofit or a for-profit to really take advantage of the opportunity. So basically, based on the language of this parameter, if you are the person that was incarcerated, through, let's say, weed possession or what have you, you would then have to align yourself with a for-profit or nonprofit, or establish your own nonprofit or for-profit before July, what was it, the
31st.
July 31st. Because you as an individual, you don't stand a chance. You're going to have to align yourself with someone in the next, almost 2 weeks. Because even if you wanted to start a nonprofit, I don't think the process would allow you, in legal terms, to establish that before you could even request the money. So you have to align yourself with a nonprofit or for-profit.
People. That's how you know they already done picked out the people.
And that's all I wanted to say about that. So if you're out there and you say, well, I heard about this cannabis money, because I actually talked to a gentleman, 2 people that were incarcerated. They said, oh, I heard about that money. I'm going to try to get some of that money. I just got out of prison. Literally, I just got out of prison. The one gentleman I talked to last week.
You ain't getting none of that shit.
He said, I just got out of prison. I'm trying to, stay on the straight and narrow. I'm not looking to go back. I'm really not. I made mistakes in my life. And, I could see in his eyes, he was genuine in his desire to stay out here. He had missed so much. Like, the internet, still, there's an aspect of that. To just wrap your mind around that, the aspect of the internet itself is, a lot of that's new to him. That's how long he was incarcerated.
Right.
Like, the internet on your phone, the internet in general, is a new concept for him. That's how much time he spent in prison. But he said, I have a desire to turn around. Maybe if I, go after this money, it'll really help me establish something and be an example to my family and people in the community. But again, based on the language, if you haven't established a business at this time, I don't know if you can legally set one up in less than in roughly almost 15 days. You're going to have to align yourself with an existing business or an existing nonprofit. So take that in consideration. If you're considering this application, look at the list of nonprofits. What does that involve? That you're talking ministry, or for the most part in Rockford, that's the dynamic of nonprofits here. It's ministry, because they're the ones with the coat closet. They're the ones with the soup kitchens, the food pantries, the what is that one kitchen? Carly, like is it called Carly's? Miss Carly's, as an example. It's places like that, or St. Elizabeth, or other places, or like Salvation Army, Goodwill, and other places that you are going to have to really, really work for this money.
Yeah. Let's see what else is.
I believe you read that in there where it said you have to nonprofit or for-profit.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
I just wanted to state that too.
Let me see. I'll go pull it up. Yeah. Well, it says city officials on Thursday will invite organizations, businesses, and nonprofits to apply. So those are the people, and then the rest of this story is just them referring back to the original program that this is based off of, and really I wanted to make sure we got through that story because we've been speaking about this weed money for a while, this cannabis money, and speaking about the implications that it has. And so I just wanted to try to dive, I thought it was important for us to dive a little bit deeper into it, and we will continue to watch this as it develops. And like I said, they've picked out these people. These are people who are going to uphold the status quo. There will be no last-minute twists or turns, or no underdog stories about this. All these people are picked, and there are people who will take pictures with the mayor. People who will capitulate to the system, and people who will continue to perpetuate the image that the minority community in this city are just all right with the things that's going on.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then I'm gonna have Kay hop in here. And the battery is getting a little bit low on here, so we'll get that charged up, and then we'll probably hop back on and do another one of these, maybe like a hour or so. But we're gonna let Kay hop in here real quick.
Okay. I just wanted to say, it is my sincere, and I mean this with all sincerity, it is my sincere hope that this money is utilized appropriately.
It won't be.
It's
It won't be.
trust and believe what I'm saying. I've been following this process from day one. Sometimes opportunities, sometimes blessings, only come around once in a lifetime. Yes, they're talking about money for next year. Next year, we don't know the landscape of what next year is going to look like for the United States, let alone Rockford. So I'm not going to assume that everything's going to stay the way that it is. We didn't assume that we'd be sitting in a situation wearing masks and talking about, millions and millions upon millions of people getting vaccinated worldwide and millions of deaths. We didn't. That took us completely away from normal. And I'm using that as an example now. Yes, they're talking about ongoing grants, but I'm saying right now with this money, it is my sincere hope that the money is actually spent in most of the situations as seed money. And I'm saying that because instead of depending on getting the money, utilizing it, and having nothing else out of it by saying this is where we spent the money, those programs are effective for right now. It is my sincere hope that people set up the funding so that they say the $10,000 that we got was seed money. We project to generate $20,000 so that in the inevitability, if we do not get this grant again this year or even next year, we use the initial money to start something in Rockford organically, that we are self-sufficient and self-funded now, and we can go for other federal grants or other block grants outside of the cannabis money, but we're using it as, it wasn't specified as seed money. But I'm just saying, I hope that people have the presence of mind to focus on, if your program can be for seed money, that you utilize it so that you can guarantee funding for yourself and self-actualize and self-define your program once you do receive the money, so that if, let's say, hypothetically, you never get it again, your program is strong enough on its own two legs and on its own merit that it can survive without any other further funding.
And so we are going to end this one the same way that we've ended our lives since for the past month or so. These live from Occupy City Halls. We're going to say rest in power to Geno Washington. Rest in power to Kerry Blake. Rest in power to Logan Bell. Rest in power to Mark Barmore. Rest in power to Demetrius Bennett. Rest in power to Jovan Fresco. Rest in power to Philip Johnson. Rest in power to Jasper Banks. Rest in power to Suzette Babler. Rest in power to Faustin Waytigo. Rest in power to Shannon Graves. Rest in power to Joseph McCormick. Rest in power to Eddie Patterson. Rest in power to Mikey Guzman. Rest in power to Little Mike Sago Jr. Rest in power to Raymond Jackson. We outside.